Now, a piece of legislation which is critical to resolving South Africa's energy problem has failed to be submitted in Parliament. This has prompted fears that it will not be passed this year. The legislation is aimed at supporting the creation of a separate corporation to facilitate a competitive electricity trading market. It's a necessary next step in Eskom's unbundling and attraction of new investment. Let's discuss this now with the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy Chairperson, Sahlulele Luzipo. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for your time and thank you for joining us. I mean, what's the likelihood that this important legislation will not be passed this year? What has the committee in Parliament been told?
Good afternoon to you, Dan, and the viewership. It is quite tight. I must say, I only deal with what will be in front of me as a public representative. At this stage, we don't have the bill at our disposal, and I think the issue is that you recall that there are a lot of processes that you have to follow. For instance, once the bill is tabled, just to capture the top part of it, once the bill is tabled, we received it, we will then have to invite the department to give us some degree of understanding the bill and what informs and its general contents. Then secondly, we still have to go now and debate amongst ourselves whether the bill is desirable or not. If we agree that it is desirable, it then means we have to kickstart the process of public consultation. That process of public consultation includes the fact that we may have to refer the bill, one, to the National House of Traditional Leaders so that we can get their comments. Secondly, we have to open up to the public so that the public can do what we call written submission. Subsequently, after that period, that opening window, we will then have to call those who have made written submission to then make oral submission on that. We then have to make a determination whether the bill requires public hearings where we now start to go to provinces. And that is also cumbersome. We have got 9 provinces and we may have to identify different areas. With the amount of interest that we have seen, even when we have not seen the bill, it actually suggests that we will be compelled, and I'm not saying the committee is not deliberated of that, but from where I'm sitting, my view is that it will be unavoidable not to conduct public hearings. That is another process that is undertaking. Even now, we're only dealing with the upstream petroleum development bill after we have finalized public hearing. So we may not be able to finalize it this year, but we may be able, depending on how we agree with the Programming Committee of Parliament, as well as the presiding officers from the National Assembly, we may be able to finalize the bill maybe early next year. The issue is that when that bill is done, it will still have to be referred to the National Council of Provinces for concurrence.
Okay.
The relevant select committee may take a similar process that we would have taken in the National Assembly.
So there's still quite a long way to go. But even before these parliamentary steps that you've clarified and public consultations, I mean, the Department itself of Mineral Resources and Energy should have given you something by now. And I understand there's been a delay even in that process before it comes before you, before the committee, for you to start considering these other processes. What has government told you? What has the executive told you in Parliament?
The issue is not necessary. I don't want to enter what we would call the upper levels of interactions. I've just seen the statement from the department. The statement from the department states that when they had initially submitted the bill to Parliament around May, if I'm not mistaken, then Parliament had told them to resatisfy the bill through the chief state law advisors. And it seems that the delays could have been there. But I must say, in the statement, they do confirm that on the 15th of August, the bill had been re-referred the national to Parliament, and we hope now the processes of Parliament will kickstart. I wouldn't want to enter a space where I'm not aware who was doing what. Unfortunately, as the Portfolio Committee, we only deal with referrals that are referred to the Portfolio Committee by the Speaker's office for the Portfolio Committee to attend to that proposed piece of legislation or amendment to an existing legislation.
Yeah, I understand that the passage of this bill, this electricity regulation amendment bill, it should be a priority because the National Energy Crisis Committee has identified it as such. You've outlined what kind of processes need to happen when you begin in Parliament, and then it must go to the National Council of Provinces. That might take too long. Other ways of expediting the process, because this is one of those bills that are in the interest of the country's energy needs.
It doesn't help. Then we must put let's put truth to our people. It doesn't help. You can't sidestep normal processes of public consultation, especially on an interested matter like this. I doubt there is a single South African who is not looking forward to the bill. As I'm speaking to you, I'm informed that there have been submissions already that have been made when we have not even seen the bill. So it tells you the magnitude of interest that is there. The issue that we can give to South Africa is that we will have to work outside even our own scope of being public representatives if we have to make sure that that bill has to happen. That's the guarantee I can give. But what we can't do is to try and jump other stages. At times, we must understand that some of the things are compulsory. You will do a bill. One of the things to be very careful when you deal with legislation is comebacks. Either the bill goes up to the president when the president is supposed to sign. President says certain steps were never followed, brings back the bill. Secondly, if the bill, in terms of the rules of the National Assembly on our side, has not gone through those stages, including public consultation, then that bill may not stand constitutional scrutiny because the courts will just say you never consulted with the public, and one of the primary requirements is to consider the contributions that will be coming.
I think the picture is clear. I think the picture is clear. Thanks for clarifying that. So what should be the next steps? What would now be the next steps in this process for this bill?
With the agency and the level of public interest, I say this again without being granted permission to do so by my committee. But I hope and wish that the office of the Speaker, I hope so, or the Bill's Office of Parliament will quickly refer the bill to the Portfolio Committee. As soon as that bill is in the Portfolio Committee, we will then have to request Parliament to allow us to short-circuit even our own recess period. Remember, we are on recess now, but because we are dealing with another piece of legislation, we may then have to see how do we prioritize this bill within that busy schedule of the Portfolio Committee. That's what we could do. We could guarantee that we will try and do the high levels of agents that are required to attend to it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mhlekazi. Thanks for your time. That's the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee in Parliament on Mineral Resources and Energy, Sahlulele Luzipo.